Hare Krishna. So thank you everyone for joining in. Today we are going to discuss one of the most important chapter. Of course, you might be wondering, like for every chapter we say the same thing, most important chapter. But every chapter is important in its own way. So what we have been discussing is the middle section of the Bhagwad Gita, which I think by now you are all familiar. First 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita is called the Karma Yoga. They talk about the Karma Yoga basically. And then the middle 6 chapter, they considered the most important chapters on the Bhagavad Gita. They're called the Bhakti Yoga, and which is actually the central message of Bhagavad Gita. That is what we have been discussing, and this is the last chapter of that middle section. So the middle section itself is Bhakti Yoga, and the chapter is also known as Bhakti Yoga. So this is the culmination of the middle 6 chapters, which is Bhakti Yoga, and then chapter also talking about the devotional service that we'll be talking. So let's get started with the prayers, and then we'll have more discussion. So this is the one of the shortest chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, but again it is very, very important. Okay, so join me in chanting the prayers. We'll chant together and let's start our discussion. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyadya Deshadarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So just to give you the quick recap on what we discussed in the last chapter. The chapter was universal form, Vishwarup. So we saw that how Krishna showed that universal form to Arjuna, and he was struck with wonder by seeing that form, because he never expected that Krishna is like that, right? So that the form, the universal form, was awe-inspiring. And then we see that toward the end of the chapter, Arjuna was scared, and he requested the Lord that please come back to your original form, Narayan form. And then finally he says, not even the 4-handed form, but two-handed Krishna, Shyamsundara form, come back. And that form is explained as Saumya Vapu, very soft and gentle, beautiful form of Krishna. So that happened. But in the course, what happens when he saw that universal form? Of course, again and again, we keep saying the same thing, that these questions and these doubts are not Arjuna's doubt. But he is putting himself in a condition, in a shoe of an ordinary person. So somebody who has seen Krishna's universal form, that Krishna is expanded all around, then somebody might think maybe that form is more important than this two-handed form. So I think worshipping that form, universal form, or maybe Krishna is not, Krishna is formless because he is unlimited. So those kind of ideas can come into somebody's mind. So Arjuna, putting himself in the shoes of an ordinary person, is asking the question that which worship is considered the best? Worshipping your personal form versus worshipping something which is impersonal. So this is the discussion about, it is like age-old debate in the spiritual realm. People have been talking, the different sets of spiritualists. So there's one set of people, they say, the personalist, say that Lord has the form. And there's another set of people, they say that God doesn't have form, which is called the Nirakar. Right? You might have heard many times worshipping the Nirakar, how the God can have the form. God also has the form. Then what is the difference between us and the God and all of that? Because in our understanding, form means there is a limitation. Because as soon as we think of the form, what comes to our mind? Form means person like us, right? And we are all limited. This body has limitations, the senses have the limitations, mind has the limitations, so many different kinds of limitations. So we think form means limitations. So how God can be limited being? God means it should be unlimited. So unlimited means he should not have the form. Logical, right? It sounds logical. But the very reputation of this thing is, anyway, we'll discuss the chapter. But just to, in the beginning, just to give you the context, people think that form cause the limitation, but that is not the right understanding. Just because somebody doesn't have the form, it doesn't make him unlimited. For example, very simple example we all can relate to. Say this room or this building, we say this has the form. And we say, oh, this is limited, this is 10,000 square feet. Just because it has got some form, some structure, so it is limited to 10,000 square feet. So you demolish the whole building, whole structure. Does it make it unlimited? It doesn't make it unlimited, right? So that is how we should understand. It's not the form which cause the limitations, but it is the conditioning, mental conditioning, which cause the limitations. So though the Lord, the Supreme Lord, Bhagwan, Krishna, he has the form, but his form is not material. So what caused the limitation is matter, not the form. So this concept should be very, very clear, because it's a debate. People think because of the form, Lord is limited. It's not because of form. We are limited because of the matter, right? So just being the formless doesn't mean it's unlimited. So that is going to be the discussion in this chapter, very interesting. So we'll be talking the 3 points, the 3 topics. It's a very short chapter, but very, very profound topics, concepts. So one thing is, which is the best? Worshipping the form or the formless, number 1. Now, Krishna will explain that what is the best. And after that, Krishna actually offers the options. If somebody is not able to follow or practice the best, then is there any option left for that person? Not everybody can follow the best. Then is there any option for the person? So Krishna will give multiple options. If you cannot follow the best, then what is the second best? What is the third best? He's giving. He's not leaving. He says, okay, if you're going to do this, do this. You're going to do this, do this. Multiple options. And then the last section of the chapter explains that how or what are those qualities which makes one dear to Krishna. So anybody is interested in becoming dear to Krishna, then we should understand those qualities, internalize, and try to develop those qualities. So these are the three major concepts that we'll be discussing in the chapter. Let's get started. So this chapter is called the devotional service, and the whole chapter, this is a very small chapter, only 20 verses, can be explained by this acronym God. So G stands for Godhead. Who is the Supreme God? And what is the best way to worship the God? And then second section talks about the options, the different options. I think we should say got it. And the third one is devotee's disposition. Okay. So the first section, 1 to 7, explains that bhakti is superior to impersonalism, or bhakti means the personal worship of the personal form of the Lord. Bhakti means there is a form, we worship, we offer, we chant in the name of God. So everything is about person. So bhakti is superior to impersonalism. So Arjuna asked the question, the very first verse of the chapter is, who is better? Arjuna vacha evam satata yuktaye bhaktastvam paryupasate ye chapyaksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? Straight question. And Krishna's answer is also very straight. No confusing. He's not talking to technical concepts. Straight is saying in the second verse. Krishna answers, Shri Bhagwan vacha maya veshmano emam nitya yukta upasate shraddhaya pariyopedaste me yukta tamamataha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be the most perfect. Very straight. My aveshya manoyemam. Mind is completely absorbed in me, my personal form. Right? And nitya yukta upasate. Always engaged in my devotional service. Shraddhaya pariyam, with a lot of faith. then according to Krishna, that devotee is considered the most perfect. Right? Straight. So this fact has already been established in the previous chapter many, many times. If you go and recall whatever we discussed so far, the 11 chapters, Krishna has already explained in many places, right? Ahem, me, and all of that. In fact, in the 6th chapter, also the end of the 6th chapter, he said that Yogi Nama Sarvesham Mad Gaten Antaratmanam. So this is one who remembers me in the heart is the topmost yogi. Same thing is saying again here. So that is what is Krishna's conclusion is that between the personalist and the impersonalist, who is the best is the personalist or devotees or bhakti yogi or bhakti yoga. That is the best. That is the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Now people, they misinterpret and they try to give some interpretations. Oh, Krishna is trying to say like this, like that, but it is very straight. Krishna says, who is the best? Devotee is the best. So says, one who fix their mind on my personal form, always engaged in worshipping me, worship me with great and transcendental faith, is considered to be the most perfect. Very simple. So always thinking of Krishna. Mai avesh manoye mam. Right. Krishna earlier also he said, Evam sadati, Mai asakta manabhartha. You will see the similar terminologies Krishna is using again and again. So that it drills down into our head. And what Krishna is trying to say. So he's saying, just always think of me, man mana bhavamad bhakto, maya asakta mana bharta. And here also he's saying, maya avesha manoye mam. So that person, the devotee is the topmost devotee. So we have to learn the art that how we can fix our mind always on Krishna. And then we become the topmost, as per Krishna's understanding. Okay. But also, these people, those who are worshippers of the impersonal Brahman, their process and their destination is also, process is different, but destination is same. So their process is explained in the 3rd and 4th verse, but the destination is they will also reach Krishna eventually. So now question can be, even the personalist also attain Krishna, and the Nirakarvadis, impersonalists, they also attain the Krishna. Then why Krishna is saying that these personalists are the best? Ultimately, they're reaching to Krishna only, at the end. Krishna is saying even the impersonalists also reach me. Then why they are best? So that Krishna explains in the 5th verse. Very, very important verse. And just to refute all kind of this impersonalist ideas, you can quote this verse. So what Krishna says, Klesho adhikatarastesham avyakta sakta chedasaham avyakta hi gadir dukkham deha vadvira vapyate. So what he's saying, for those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme. Avyakta asakta chetasam. Whose mind is asakta, attached to avyakt. Avyakt means unmanifest or impersonalism. Right? Their advancement is very troublesome. Klesho adhikatarastesham. There's a lot of klesha in their life. It's very, very difficult. Their path is not easy. It's very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. So Krishna is saying ultimately that is also taking you to the same destination. But that path itself is very, very difficult, very troublesome. So you can make the choice. Right? And then the trouble, what is the trouble and what is the difficulty? That we should read more. In the Bhagwadam you will understand. Then you will not be inspired to take that path. Too dangerous. Right? You can fall down, even reaching to a very high level, still you can fall down. That is also risk involved in that path. So that is why Krishna is saying it's very troublesome, very difficult. Right? So that is why, that is what is the reason that why Krishna is saying that worshipping the personal form is the best. Because Krishna don't want us to take up the path, which is very difficult and troublesome. Take the easy path. What is the easy path? Maya avesh manoyama. Bhakti yoga. What do you have to do? You chant Hare Krishna mantra, have the beautiful darshan of the Lord, sing nice kirtan, dance, eat Krishna prasadam, read Bhagavad Gita, hear something about Krishna, and that is the process which will help you to attain the perfection. Wherein all this process of impersonalists, that go and sit in a secluded place and meditate and all of that, and despite doing all of that, attaining perfection, there is a risk of falling down from the top. So Krishna is very difficult, very risky path. So don't take up that path. Okay. And then Krishna explains further that this is the path of the impersonalist, very difficult. But what about others? The personalist, the devotees? So this process of devotional service is very simple and very easy. So what Krishna says, he says, Ye tu sarvani karmani mai sannyasasya matparaha ananyaneva yogena mam dhyayante upasate teisham aham samuddartha mrityu samsara sagarat bhavamina chirat partha maya veshit chetasam. So he's explaining the path of those who are practicing the devotional service. So what is their path? Yedu sarvani karmani. So sarvani karmani, all kinds of karma, all kinds of action. Mai sannyasya matparaha. You just give up all the actions. What it means to give up all the actions? You should not be doing anything. Don't do any action which takes you away from Krishna. Or whatever actions you're doing, offer the result of that action in the service of Krishna. But those who worship me, giving up all activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation. So it's a very, very important. So Krishna is saying, sarvani karmani sannyasya. Give up all activities. What is the meaning of giving up the all activities? It doesn't mean that you don't do anything, but give up the activities means whatever activity you do, offer the result in the service of Krishna. So that activity becomes in the service of the Lord. So it is as good as giving up. You're not getting bound in that activity. Right? And then to that person who has surrendered everything unto me, then to that person says, Tesham aham samuddartha. To that person, I become uddhartha, uddhar. From mrityu samsara sagarat. From this material world, which is called as mrityu samsara. Right? From this material bondage, from this mrityu samsara, I personally come and I become aham samuddhartha. To whom? To a devotee who is surrendering everything unto me. So, on the contrary, on the path of impersonalist, they had to attain the perfection by their own endeavors to control the senses and all of that. But here Krishna is saying, you surrender unto me, and then I personally, Tesham aham samuddartha, I personally come and delivers you. Bhavami na chirat partha. How long it takes? It takes very, very long time. Says na chirat. Chir means like very long time. Na chirat. Within a short time. You surrender unto me, I'll come personally and deliver you. And that is what exactly the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita in the 18th chapter will see. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Krishna explains there also. Aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshisham. I deliver you. And that's the same thing Krishna is saying. I personally come and delivers you. If you surrender unto me. So we have to learn how to surrender to Krishna and also my avesita chetasam. So we had to engage our consciousness into Krishna. That is what is called as Krishna consciousness. So that Prabhupada, what he started, this movement is called as Krishna consciousness. So in the beginning, when Prabhupada was in America, initial days, and then we tried to, establish this organization, just thinking that what should be the name of the organization. Prabhupada was very clear that it should be the International Society. So then Prabhupada says it should be International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And then people were saying that, no, Swamiji, this Krishna consciousness, instead Krishna consciousness, you should keep it very generic. You should sound very secular. So you should say God conscious. So instead of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, you should say International Society for God Conscious. Make it very generic. And Prabhupada says God means Krishna. There's no confusion. There's no doubt. That is what the Bhagavad Gita says. So why you say God? God sounds like more impersonal. Somebody is God. Who is God? If you are God conscious means you know who is the God. You know everything about God. You know his name, you know his address, you know his qualities, his characteristic, everything you know. So Krishna is God. So that is what Krishna is saying. Mai aveshit chetasam. So we had to absorb our consciousness in the Krishna. That is what is the secret. And then Krishna says, once you learn that art, then Tesham aham samuddartha personally comes and delivers you. Now question comes, very important questions. Let us have some discussion here. So we are not getting much into the detail of that, how that other path is difficult and all that. You can read those purports. Prabhupada explains. But the summary is that path of impersonalism is very, very difficult and troublesome. And the path of devotional service is very, very easy. You have to surrender to Krishna. Give up everything in the service of Krishna. And to that devotee, Krishna comes and he delivers. And then Krishna is asking, Maya Vesit Chedasam. Absorb your consciousness into me. Question comes, how to do this? That is where we are getting stuck. We are ready to surrender, at least theoretically. We are ready to absorb our mind also, consciousness also. How to do that? So what is the secret? Right? Shall we chant more? Shall we read more? What we should do more? Some austerity we should do, or some fasting we should do, some yajna we should do, what we should do. So we should understand very carefully actually in the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita also, the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness in all this principle. Here attentively. So there is this concept, this pastime of Jada Bharat in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we'll not get in the story, but this Bharat Maharaj, and later he fell down and then he became the Jada Bharat in the next time. Now, the Jada Bharat was a very, very elevated soul, very, very highly elevated consciousness. But he was very, very conscious that I should not get into any kind of trap like my previous life. He got attached to the deer and he, fallen from his position and all of that. So this time he kept himself like a mendicant, completely like a, vagabond. He has no connection with the world, just roaming around in the forest in his own world and all that. And very simple-hearted, very pure-hearted, that is how he was. So one time, there's some looters, some robbers, they kidnapped him. They were the worshippers of Kali. So they wanted to do the bali for him. They wanted to sacrifice him. And he was so simple-hearted that he says, okay, if Krishna wish me to be sacrificed by these people, I won't protest. He was that much surrendered to Krishna. If Krishna wants to protect me, nobody can harm me. Mare Krishna, Rake Krishna, Marege. Krishna wants to protect, nobody can harm. And if Krishna wants to kill, nobody can protect. That was his understanding. Of course, that is a very high level of consciousness. We cannot artificially imitate and copy those personalities. When we are in this world, we are functioning in this world. So we have to make sure that people won't exploit us. But once you reach that level, that becomes very natural. So Jada Bharat was at that level. Somebody wants to sacrifice me, he doesn't protest. Like we see another example is Prahlad Maharaj, very elevated soul. So the father, gave the poison. He did not protest. He said, oh, Krishna will protect me. I will drink the poison also, no problem. He drank the poison and he was saved. But we cannot artificially imitate like that, right? So this Jada Bharat was such an advanced devotee. So, and then these robbers, they were about to sacrifice him. And then the Kali, in front of the deity of Kali. Kali is also a devotee of the Lord, the Shakti of the Lord. And she could not tolerate this, offense to a Vaishnava devotee. And Kali actually came out from the deity and then killed all the robbers. And he was protected. And then again, he was roaming in the forest. So one time, this king was going in a palanquin. And they were looking for one more person to, lift this palanquin. So they found this person. He said, hey, come here. And he was a simple-hearted person. He came. He says, help us to, the king is going in this palanquin. And then help us to lift the palanquin. He says, okay, no problem. And he was, so one of the person in one of the corner and he was walking. So while he was walking and taking this palanquin, then, he was jumping and hopping and he's not walking straight. And that was creating a lot of, disturbance to the king sitting in the belly. And then king was getting disturbed. And at one point in time, that king just gave up. He says, who is this foolish fellow who's walking like this, creating so much of disturbance to me? Come out. He says, come here. You don't know how to walk. And, he started chastising him and all of that. So he says, I'm the king and all of that. And that is when this Jada Bharat actually spoke something. He says, you are king now. You will be somebody else soon. Something like that. He gave the instruction. And then king could understand that this person is not some ordinary person. He's talking a great wisdom. He says, who are you? You look like some, mad person. But it looks like you are a great elevated soul. And then he figured out that, he is a great devotee of the Lord and all of that. So in that conversation, so the king asked that, I see that you're completely absorbed in Krishna. So what is the secret? I also want to absorb in Krishna. So I'm telling this story is, now you see the connection? Talking about how to absorb our consciousness into Krishna completely. So this Jada Bharat actually gave the secret, the instruction there. So he says to this is a famous verse from the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada many times he quote this verse. So he says to the king, Rahu gana tapasa nayati nache jaya nirvapanat gradava na chandasa neva jalagni surya vina mahat pada rajo abhishekam So saying, O King Rahuguna, the king was Rahuguna, says, Tapasana yati, if you want to attain that level of consciousness, complete absorption in Krishna, then Tapasana yati, it doesn't come by doing some simple austerities. How much tapasya you do, you cannot attain simply by doing austerity. Nacha ijya, or you do some ijya means some worship, some chanting, and then he says, never jalagna surya, or Jal, Agni, Surya, to worship them, do some austerities and all of that, you cannot attain this level of complete absorption in Krishna. What is the secret? Secret is Vina Mahat Pad Rajobhishekam. He says, unless you get the dust from the lotus feet of Mahat. Mahat means a great pure devotee. Mahat Pad Rajo means, Raj means the dust. Padraja means the dust of the feet of Mahat, the great devotee. So unless somebody gets, now getting the dust doesn't mean just practically you go and get some dust. That is also very powerful. But when we say, unless somebody is smeared in the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee, you cannot advance. You cannot be absorbed in Krishna. So it is all happens by the mercy of a great and a pure devotee. That is the secret of the scriptures. Many times people miss out this. I'm chanting, I'm doing this worship, I'm reading this book, I'm going this temple. Monday I go to this temple, Tuesday I go to that temple, attend this program. That's just great. But still there might be a missing link. That missing link is Mahat Pad Rajo Abhishek. That we need the shelter and the mercy, the blessings of a pure devotee of the Lord, like Srila Prabhupada. So as soon as we get the shelter and the blessing of such a pure devotee, then you will see suddenly, very immediately, Nachirat, very soon, you will see there's a lot of absorption in Krishna will happen. Because how you can get the absorption in Krishna that can be given by a person who is absorbed in Krishna. It's not a rare commodity, it's a very rare commodity, It's not available anywhere. You go and get something. Okay, I want absorption in Krishna, where do I get this? No, you cannot get anywhere. Somebody has to give you this. Who will give you this? One who has something can only give that. So one who is completely absorbed in Krishna can only give you the absorption in Krishna. So Mahat Pad Rajo Bhishekam. That is the secret revealed by Jadbharat. And actually similar verse was quoted by the Prahlad Maharaj also in the 7th canto. Mahat Pad Rajo Bhishekam. That one should be smeared in the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee. That is the secret of spiritual life. If anybody is seriously interested in advance in this spiritual path, this is the secret revealed. You have to take the shelter of a bona fide guru. It's coming in a Guru Sishya Parampara. It's not about any externals. Who is a very famous guru, he is a very big guru, he gives a big pravachan, he gives a big talk, thousands of people attend. Great. But you may not get the absorption in Krishna unless somebody is a bona fide devotee of the Lord, a pure devotee of the Lord. One who is completely absorbed in Krishna can only give you the absorption in Krishna. To that person, Krishna is saying, Tesham aham samuddartha mrityu samsara sagarat. Once you get the absorption in Krishna, completely surrender to Krishna, then Krishna says that I'll come personally, aham samuddartha, I'll deliver you from this material existence, from this material bondage. So Krishna is giving the guarantee here. So everything is revealed. The only thing is we are holding back. So we had to take the right steps in the right direction, in the right guidance. Because sometimes what happens, we get lost into so many things. I do this, I do that, I go here, I go there, I read this, I read that. That is not the secret. Secret is mercy of the Guru, a pure devotee. And what is that mercy? What is that dust? Dust is that, following their instruction very sincerely and very strictly. Whatever they say, we just follow that. You see the rapid advancement in the spiritual life. So that is what Krishna is saying. So in this section, what we understood is worshipping Krishna personally is the best form of worship. That is what is the conclusion of Krishna. So when sometimes you encounter the people who say, no, Nirakar, Brahm, worship the Nirakar and all of that, you can read these verses, you can show them these verses and guide them and help them to come out from their illusion. Right? So that is also a path, but it's a very troublesome, very difficult path. Okay, so now this is the best. Mai avesat chetasam. Now somebody is not on that level of Mai avesat chetasam. What is the hope for that person? So let us look at that. Second sections, that progressive stage of devotion, and Krishna gives the different options here. So first option, the topmost option is this. Right. So what is that? Mayeva manadasva, may buddhim niveshaya, nivsashyasi mayeva, ata urdhvam na samshayaha. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. So what Krishna is saying, three items he's saying, my avesha. My eva mana adaswa. Your mind completely be fixed upon me. Always remember. We already discussed, right? Man mana abhav mad bhakto. Always think of me. My asakta mana bardha. 7th chapter, the first verse. So that is the same thing he's saying here. My eva mana adaswa. So mind fixed on me, and then my buddhim niveshaya. Engage all your intelligence in me, contemplating on me. So mind absorb in Krishna, use intelligence also in Krishna. Then what happens? You will live in me always without a doubt. That is the topmost stage that one should aspire to attain. Topmost. But now somebody is not that level. They're completely absorbed in Krishna. Nothing he thinks except Krishna. Then what is the hope for that person? So Krishna gives the hope for that person also in the next verse. He says this is the best, top. But if you're going to do this, then what is the second best? So he says, Atachittam samadhatum na shaknosi mayistiram abhyasa yogena tato mamichaptum dhananjaya. My dear Arjuna, winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then what you should do is abhyasa yogena tato. Do the abhyas. What is this abhyas? We'll talk about that. So he says, then follow the regulated principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, you will develop a desire to attain to me. So abhyas means basically sadhana bhakti. First is Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti means spontaneous attraction, spontaneous absorption in Krishna. Always you are in thinking of Krishna. That cannot do, then do the sadhana bhakti. Abhyas yogena tadam. Do the abhyas. So what abhyas we should do? So if we are not on that level of completely thinking of Krishna always, then we should do this abhyas. What is the abhyas? Abhyas of regulated principles, like everyday chanting. So we do abhyas. 1 round, 2 rounds, 4 rounds, 16 rounds. Some special days, more than 16 rounds. Abhyas, every day. Chant and hear. Read Bhagwad Gita every day. Have the darshan of the Lord. Do some kirtan. Offer the food to Krishna and only eat Krishna prasadam. These are all abhyas. So when we do all of this, when we follow this, then gradually by doing this, a lot of purification happens. And then in the due course, as a result, you will develop the desire to attain Krishna. So this is the abhyas yoga, second best. Somebody say, no, I find it very difficult, so many things. My family is not supportive. I don't have the time. I have to work, this, that. Everyday chanting, reading, going to temple, attending these sessions proves it too difficult. What is the option for that person? So Krishna gives another option. What he says? Abhyase api asamarthosi. Even you are asamartha, you are incapable of practicing this abhyas also. Then mat karma paramo bhava. Mat artham abhikarmani kurvan siddhim avapshasi. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. So Krishna is saying, okay, you cannot think always, do abhyas. You're going to do abhyas also. Then he says, mat karma paramo bhava. Work for me. So you do the work for Krishna. Maybe you're not chanting, reading, and in the sessions. Do some work for Krishna. Now something like you go to the temple, there might be a lot of service opportunities. Do some work for Krishna. That is also another way of gradually start our journey and progressing in the spiritual life. So different options. Of course, we should aspire to have the best option. But in case somebody is incapable due to whatever reasons, then take the abhyas. If that is also not able to do, then do the work for Krishna. So that is what is Krishna saying. If you cannot practice, engage all external senses for working for Krishna, work for Krishna, and benefit is you'll come to the perfect stage. And how to work for Krishna? That Krishna explains in the last verse of the previous chapter, 11.55. Anybody remembers? Mat karma karan, mat parmo, mad bhakta asanga varjita, nirvair sarvabhuteshu. Right? Mat karma karan. So do the work for me. He said already. And again he's saying this. So what is the work for Krishna? So Prabhupada writes in that purport 11.55 that, just be the good friend to the devotees of Krishna consciousness. Go and help them in whatever way you can help. With your skills, their abilities, with your money or whatever, time, but just try to work for Krishna and help them. So that is the way. Now somebody says, no, that is also very difficult. What to do? So Krishna is giving another option. And what he is giving? Says, if you cannot practice that work for Krishna, then try to give up all results of your work and be self-situated. Sarva karma phalatyagam. Say, no, Prabhuji, I cannot come in the temple and do any work. I have a lot of work to do. Says, okay, no problem, do your work. But when you get the result of that work, the fruit of that work, that you offer in the service of Krishna, that you should do at least. Something you should do. So Krishna is somewhere you should start the journey. Don't be just lost in this world. So he's saying, Sarva karma phalatyagam. Tata kuru yatatmavan. So then if you start, giving up the results in the service of Krishna, that is also another option. So we see how the different options, 4 options. Topmost is complete absorption. If you're going to do that, then abhyas, chant, read and all of that. If you're going to do that, work for Krishna. If you say, I cannot work for Krishna, I'll do my work. Do your work, give the result in the service of Krishna. And the next verse that Krishna gives, that if you cannot practice this, he's giving further more options. So just understand this verse very carefully because sometimes this verse is very confusing. So Krishna says, Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasas jnana dhyanam visheshyate dhyanat karma phalatyagas tyaga shanti anantaram. Says, if you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. If you cannot do this karma phalatyagam also, then cultivation of knowledge. Cultivate some knowledge. And then better than the knowledge is meditation. And then better than the meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation one can attain peace of mind. Right? So this cultivation of knowledge is Jnana Yoga, we discussed earlier. And then meditation is Ashtanga Yoga. And then giving up the work is more of like Karma Yoga. So now you might get confused here. Because what we understood so far is that Karma Yoga, the ladder, yoga ladder. First Karma Yoga, the next is Jnana Yoga, then Ashtanga Yoga, and then Bhakti Yoga. But what Krishna is saying, that giving up the work, Sarva Karma Phalatyagam, is better than the Jnana Yoga. And then Jnana Yoga is better than the Dhyana Yoga. Right? So he's saying here, engage yourself in cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation. Okay, Dhyana Yoga is better, Jnana Yoga is lesser, and Karma Yoga is, actually you see, the yoga ladder, Karma Yoga is the lowest, but here Krishna is saying Karma Yoga is the best. That Sarva Karma Phalatyagam. So how to understand this? You're getting what is the discussion going on here? Might be a little confusing. So what we have understood, the yoga ladder is Karma Yoga, then Jnana Yoga and Dhyana Yoga, and then Bhakti Yoga. So Karma Yoga in that ladder comes the lowest rung. But here what Krishna is saying, Karma Yoga is better than the Jnana Yoga. Right? So, and then Dhyana Yoga is even better. How to understand this? So basically what Krishna is saying is, Sarva Karma Phalatyaga means that give up the work in my service. That is what it is. So it is actually kind of a Bhakti Yoga. That is what we understood.
Nati?
So it's not just simply you're giving up the fruits of your work, but you're giving up the fruits of your work in the service of Krishna. So that way it becomes the topmost. And also another way of understanding this is that in terms of access to the Karma Yoga is easy. That is why Krishna is saying it is best. Doing Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, very difficult. So Krishna is saying this is better. What is that? Sarva Karma Phalatyagam is the best. Sarva Karma Phalatyagam means Karma Yoga, because anybody can do that. Not everybody can do the Jnana Yoga. Not everybody can practice the Dhyan Yoga. But Karma Yoga, you do some work, just give, offer something. What to offer? How to offer? Now our acharyas, the great teachers, they guide us that how we should sarva karma phalatyagam should practice. So they say there is something called the idle, something called the practical. So we'll talk about that. Idle is, in the scripture it says, you just keep just for the basic maintenance of your body and soul together. Whatever you earn, keep basic minimum for yourself and give up everything in the service of Krishna. That is how the traditionally in the bygone ages, this Brahmanas were. When they go and bag some alms, whatever they get for that day maintenance, whatever is required, they will eat, cook and eat, and whatever rest is there, they'll charity. They'll do the charity. Brahmana himself is going and begging, and something little is left, he will just give it away. So he's giving a karma phalatyagam, sarva karma. So he did the karma, he got something and he just gave. For basic maintenance, he gave. That is idle. One should live like that. But now practical is, oh, we cannot live like that. That we get the salary for the month. So we just make sure all the grocery is there, everything is there, all the bills are paid, and rest of the money we should give up. We cannot do that. If we are on that level of surrender, we can do that, but we are not on that level. So then what is the practical? So Acharya says, one should give up at least 50% of their earning in the service of Krishna. That is what is the practical. It's not idle. It might sound idle. But if we cannot give 50% in the service of Krishna, then give 20%, 10%, 5%, 1%, $1, 1 rupee. Something you should give. Krishna wants us to cultivate this habit of giving up because nobody wants to give. People are so attached. Money is sweeter than honey. They cannot leave. So much of attachment. But if somebody can, get, that money, the service of Krishna, they can release. So a lot of purification happens in the heart. Because attachment. How you will give up the attachment? Unless, see, we talk about, we want attachment for Krishna. How that attachment for Krishna will come? You're holding on to so many things, right? So I want to catch hold of Krishna. But your hands and legs, everything, you are just catching hold on to so many things. Money, family, position, power, my respect, my nation, my this thing, my that thing. So many holdings. Where is the space for Krishna to hold on? You had to release something. We had to understand it very carefully. That is what is the Bhagavad Gita is for. So Krishna says 50% you should give. If you cannot give 50%, give 25%, 10% you give, 5% you give. Give something in the service. Not that Krishna needs something. It is for our own good. Because you are holding on to something. Alright? So actually, maybe sometime I should show you one video that how we are trapped in this world. There is a video of a monkey. Actually, how it says a very common practice, how the hunters, they hunt the monkeys. So what they do is they take one coconut, that shell in the coconut, and there's a small hole. And in that they put some berries inside that. So this monkey, understand, he keeps seeing because a hunter does everything in front of the monkey. And he goes and hides. And monkey says that I know where is the treasure. Let me go and get those berries. So he goes, the small hole, he put his hand, somehow he managed to put the hand inside like this. And then inside he finds a lot of berries. Now he takes a lot of berries, hold into, now it's a fist. But that hole is so small, it cannot come out now. Understand? Somehow it went straight, but inside you are holding on to something. Now you try to take it out, it cannot come out. And this hunter is waiting. Hunter start coming because he's stuck with this. Look at this monkey's situation because his level of consciousness is that. He sees that hunter is coming. He is hurrying up that I should run away. But at the same time, he don't want to miss those berries also. Says, I had to somehow manage, take out some berries. It's very simple, right? What is that? He has to release those berries and take the hand out and run away. But he's so foolish that he's holding on to that. And he cannot take his hand out. And the hunter comes and hands him. He's captured. Now we may laugh at that. And we can say, oh, look at this foolish monkey. We are also no less foolish than that monkey. Krishna is saying, Tesham aham samuddhartha mrityu samsara sagarat. I will personally come and deliver you from this bondage. But we say, Krishna, wait. We want some berries here. We are holding on. We don't want to come out. Right? Money, power, position, my this thing, my that thing. So many. So you are not able to come out from that hole, from that trap. It's as simple as you just release it in the service of Krishna and come out. Krishna will pick you. Krishna trying to lift you, but you are holding on to something. So that is why Krishna, for our own good, is saying, give up. Sarva karma phalatyagam, start from somewhere. So that is what is the concept in our Vedic tradition, that grihasthas, the householders, they must do the charity. That is the concept for the grihasthas. And in fact, if you see the varnashram system, are brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasis. Brahmacharis, they're completely surrendered. They stay in the ashram. So they don't go out and work. They don't make money. Right? Vanaprastha is retired. Sannyasis are also given up everything. Only one person who makes money and who is responsible for maintaining 3 different ashrams: brahmacharis, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis. That is the responsibility of a householder. People think householder means just get married and then produce the children, and it might sound very harsh, but that the animals also does. Producing the children, what is a big deal? Right? So it's a big responsibility. So when we read the scriptures, we understand all of those concepts. So when it says, okay, start giving up, learn to give up. So that is how, whenever there is any festival and any opportunity to give some charity, some donations in the temple, one should give that. So that is what is Krishna saying here. So these sections we discussed. Okay, if you are not on the top, start from somewhere. Start something. So start giving up. And then gradually a lot of purification will happen. And then Krishna will inspire from within. And you will start practicing also. And with the practice, sadhana, bhakti, chanting, reading, and all that, my avesh, my eva mana adasva. Complete absorption will also come in the devotes. So these are the different options which has been offered here. Okay, so let us just quickly move to the next section, which is basically the devotee's disposition. So the qualities that endear one to Krishna. So Krishna now talks about various qualities, and I would highly recommend everyone here to take out some time and read this section, go through these purports from Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, and understand what are those qualities, and then contemplate, meditate that how we can develop those qualities, and discuss with the devotees and how to develop these qualities. So let us just see all this. So what Krishna says: Advaishta sarvabhutanam matra garuna evacha nirmamo nirahankara samadukka sukha kshami sandushta satatam yogi yadatma drada nischayah mayarpit mano buddhir yo mad bhakta same priyaha. Krishna is saying, yo mad bhakta same priya. That devotee, that bhakta is very dear to me. Who? Advaishta, who is non-envious. Sarvabhutanam, he is non-envious, he is tolerant, he is nirmama, free from proprietorship, santushta, always satisfied, and then self-controlled, determined, and then mind and intelligence fixed entirely on the Supreme Lord. So these are the qualities that one should aspire. One should be very, very tolerant. So we discussed about the tolerance in the very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. Matra sparshas tu ganteya. Sitoshna sukha dukkada agam apayino nityas tam titikshasva bharata. Krishna said that he should learn. So the pain and pleasure, sukha and dukh, man, apman, should learn to tolerate. So how this tolerance comes? Tolerance comes only when you have some higher purpose to focus on, higher goal to focus on. If you have nothing higher in your life, then you get dragged into each and every small, silly, useless things in your life. If you are focused on something higher, oh, my goal is something much bigger. Somebody said something.
Hey Siri, take screenshot.
Hare Krishna, somebody is taking the screenshot. Please put yourself on mute. Okay. So, what you are talking about, the tolerance. Tolerance comes when you have the higher goal. When Krishna becomes the goal of your life. So, my thing is, I want to attain Krishna. All these things on the way comes, I'll just tolerate. Somebody said like that, somebody disrespect me, or it is too hard to go, too hard to chant. I'll tolerate pain, pleasure, man, apman, no problem. So then you become dear and non-envious. You understand very well that Krishna has given, Krishna is in control of everyone's life. Why the enmity? Enmity is there, this enviousness is there, even among, the family members. There is an enviousness you can see even the husband and wife. If wife is earning more or husband is earning more, something like that, sometimes you will see the people, they're envious of each other. There is enviousness can be found in the brother and sister if they're not mature. So we should understand as being a devotee that whatever anybody has in their life, it is all by Krishna's sanction, Krishna's arrangement. By becoming envious towards someone because you cannot tolerate, oh, this person is so successful, this person has more than me, is more beautiful, more rich, he has more possessions than me, so I cannot tolerate this. I'm becoming envious. Basically, you are disrespecting Krishna indirectly. Krishna has given someone something, and you are unnecessarily creating the enmity towards that person. So the person who knows that Krishna is in control says, okay, Krishna has given me this, I should be happy with this. Should not look at others, what they have got. We should focus on what I got, and more importantly, I should focus on how I can engage what I got in the service of Krishna. That is even more important. Okay, and Nirmama, we understand. Bhoktaram Yagadabzam Sarvaloko Maheshwaram 5.29. So when we understand that Krishna is the Bhokta, Krishna is the master, he is the Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, and you become Nirmama. You just become a custodian. No, you're not too attached. Like a cashier, I gave the example. Cashier, though he has a lot of money in the bank, and he's actually kind of responsible for that money, protect, but he never says, oh, it is my money. Somebody comes to the bank and deposit or, withdraw the money. He says, hey, why are you taking my money? He don't say that. He knows my job is to just take care of this. Doing my duty, my salary is fixed. I'll get my salary at the end of the day. So similarly, whatever we are given, we just use that, utilize it in the best possible way in the service of Krishna. Beyond that, we should not get more attachment. My money, my this thing, my that thing. It doesn't mean that you become irresponsible. You do the things responsibly, but don't be too attached. Nirmama, and then satisfied whatever Krishna has given us. Self-control, determined to practice Krishna consciousness. So a lot of qualities, we cannot really get into each and every quality in detail. Just please read those purports. And most importantly is, my arpit manobuddhir, mind and intelligence fixed entirely on the Supreme Lord. Then, sama bhakta, sama priyaha. That devotee is very dear to me. Now further he says what? Next verse. He says, Yasma no dijate loko loka no dijate cheha harsa marsa bayodvege muktoya sachme priyaha. So, he for whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anxiety, with study in happiness and distress is very dear to me. So a devotee never creates trouble for others, and he himself is also not disturbed by others. Somebody comes and do something, he is always cool. So that is also another quality of a devotee. Devotee should aspire. So probably in the future we'll conduct one dedicated session, a seminar on these qualities. There's multiple qualities actually, and we should discuss more practicalities, how to really understand and develop those qualities. So one of the qualities, not get affected and does not affect others, who doesn't disturb others by your words, by your action, in your mind, right? So, and then devotee also, anapeksha, suchirdaksha, udasino gatavyata, sarvaramba parityagi, yomat bhakta samipriya. Krishna again and again using this line, yome bhakta samipriya. That devotee is very dear to me. Who is that person? Anapeksha, who doesn't have any apeksha, no expectations, just doing the work. Even there's a lot of expectation that people have when they practice devotional service. When they chant, they say, oh, Krishna has to give us this because we are chanting. No, it should be selfless service. No apeksha. And then Suchi, very pure externally and more importantly internally. So in this modern age, in modern civilization, people don't take bath, especially in this country, for 7 days. They take some shortcut, some deodorant, right? That is their way of cleaning themselves. So unfortunate. So it is about Suchi, cleaning ourselves externally, and also more importantly, your consciousness should be clean. Internally should be clean. So externally you can put some deodorant. But what about inside? Inside there's a lot of dirt, a lot of contamination. So there is another deodorant, that is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Sincerely chant and hear, then you become clean from within also. So that is Suchi. You should become Daksha. Daksha means devotee is expert in doing all kinds of service to Krishna. Whatever service given, with the best of his ability, he performs the service. And is Udasin, he never takes part of this particular party. I like these people, I don't like that people. Devotee doesn't get involved in all of those things. Right? And then Gatavyadaha, pain free because he's free from all the bodily designations. And Sarvaramba Parityagi, free from all endeavors. Now, please understand all these things carefully. Free from all endeavors means he's not free from endeavors, means that he should not do anything. He doesn't do anything which is not favorable for his progress in Krishna consciousness. Any endeavor which takes him away from Krishna. So devotee should not get involved in all of those things. He does only endeavor which is needed for his basic maintenance and which helps him to progress in Krishna consciousness. Apart from that, any endeavor, he is not interested. So these are all various qualities. And then he says, no anshati, na dvesti, na sochati, na kangshati, shubh ashubh parityagi bhakti man is me priya. Who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me. Now, harshati, na dvesti, devotee is neutral. Whatever comes by Krishna's grace, he happily accepts. And sometimes something he loses, he understands Krishna is in control. So if I lost something, something happens, some loss, it can be the loss of some near and dear ones, or the loss of family, some money, some business, or health or something. He just take whatever needs to be done, but is not disrupted. He is not disturbed by all of those things. And then Shubha Ashubha Parityagi. He gives us even Shubha and Ashubha. He says giving up Ashubha is understood, but giving up Shubha is also. What is this Krishna is asking? Shubha we should not give. So giving up auspicious or inauspicious. So devotee is not attached to anything which is auspicious or inauspicious. What is attached to is attached to Krishna. Very important thing. So what is seen in this world as very auspicious, if it is not favorable for Krishna consciousness, then he'll give up that auspicious thing also. And something which seems like very inauspicious, a devotee will do that if it pleases Krishna. Simple example. Killing someone is considered auspicious or inauspicious. Right. So in general it is, oh, you should not kill someone. But you can kill someone as per the dharma. So when the Arjuna was considering, oh, why I should kill my family members, it is considered the most inauspicious thing that I should kill my own teachers, grandfathers and all that. But I'll kill because Krishna is asking me to do this. So he's give up the auspiciousness also. And he embraced so-called inauspicious. That is our devotee. Because devotee's focus is the pleasure of Krishna. How can I please Krishna? So that's the understanding. So that devotee becomes again very dear to Krishna. And then the last quality says, Samasatra ucha mitrecha tata manapamanayo sitoshna sukha dukkheshu samasanga varjitaha tulya nindistirmani santusto yeni genichit aniketas tirmatir bhaktiman me priyo naraha. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who does not care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. So many qualities Krishna is asking. So you are Sama Satravacha Mitracha, neutral to everyone. Nobody is your enemy, nobody is your friend. Krishna is only your friend. So you don't hate anyone. And then Situshna Sukha Dukkada, we discussed. And then is Santushta, he is mauni, he is silent. So devotee should not talk. Say, Prabhuji, you just keep talking too much. You go beyond even 1 hour, you said 1 hour only class. Devotee should be mauni, silent. You know what mauni means? Prabhupada explains, the devotee should not talk anything except talking about Krishna. All this Gramya Kada. You know what is happening in politics, in Bollywood, in Hollywood, in neighbor's house, and all of those things. You should not waste your time. Talk about Krishna. So if you are 24 hours, if you are talking about Krishna, chanting Krishna's name, then you are a mauni. You are a silent person. You're not wasting your time in all your useless matters. So these are the different qualities that Krishna has given here. So just summary of all this, what I have discussed. So we can see the different qualities. So Krishna talks about attitude towards oneself, how it should be, dealing with others, and then reaction when thing happens to him, and dealings with the Lord. So that is the sum and substance of all of those qualities. So towards oneself, he is free from all the sense of proprietorship, is free from the false ego. He understands that I am not the body, he is pain-free, and then is free from all endeavors. About personal self. How he deals with others, He is non-envious, advaita. He is always sarvabhutanam, kind to everyone, even to his enemy. And then he's equal to friends and enemies. He is, udasin. He's neutral. That, oh, I like this person, I like that person. No, he's not into all of that. And always free from the contaminating association and silent. Mani. That is dealing with other living entities. And then reactions when things happen to him. So he's always satisfied, self-controlled, tolerant, equipoised in happiness and distress. And he is have no expectations, neutral, is pure, he's expert, and all of those qualities have been given here. So please read this purpose, and in some other seminars we'll discuss in detail. And then dealing with the Lord is very determined to serve the Lord. Nothing can deviate him from his determination to serve the Lord, and his mind and intelligence is fixed entirely on the Lord, and he's always engaged in the service of the Lord, and is completely fixed in his path to his spiritual progress. So this is the sum and substance of all these verses, starting from 13 to 19, so many qualities. And then finally, Krishna says this, Ye tu dharmyamritam idam yatoktam varyupasate ashraddhana matparma bhaktaste yadiva me priya. So he who follows this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engages himself with faith, making me the supreme goal, is very dear to me. After having said all of those qualities, mentioned all of that, now Krishna is saying, Ye tu dharmyam ratam madam, who is ativa me priya. He's saying they are priya. Now he's saying ativa me priya, very dear to me. Who is very dear to Krishna? So he says, those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service, anybody who is practicing, completely engage themselves with faith and make me the supreme goal of their life. That devotee is very dear to Krishna. But now there is another category of a devotee. He is even more dear than this category. That Krishna will talk in the 18th chapter. So for that, stay tuned, keep attending the sessions, don't miss out, and we'll explain towards the end. You already understood how you can become dear to Krishna. Krishna says, on top of all of that, this devotee who is completely engaged in devotional service and makes me the goal of life is very dear to me. But there is someone who is even most dear to me. That Krishna will explain towards the end of Bhagwad Gita. Okay, so this is the chapter that we discuss the devotional service. And we see here that Arjuna asked the question, which is better, worshipping the impersonal or the person? Krishna straight says, worshipping the personal form of the Lord is the best. And then if you're going to do that, mayavesh mano mayev mana adasva, complete absorption. If you cannot do, then practice. If you're going to practice, then do work for me. Not work for me, work for yourself, give the result to me, and then learn sarva karma phalatyagam. That is better. So we have to develop that. If it is not there, we should contemplate and we should think, am I giving something to Krishna, or I'm just taking? Everything we are taken from Krishna. Even we are sitting and breathing, taking from Krishna. What I'm giving to Krishna. So we should give. So that is how we should think and understand and try to implement all of that. And then Krishna explains so many qualities here that makes one dear to Krishna. So this is the end of the second section of this Bhakti Yoga section. Now we'll be starting the third section, Jnana Yoga. Now somebody might ask the question, we already understood Bhakti Yoga is the actual essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Krishna already concluded, he explained, Arjuna also accepted. And why more discussion? Jnana, why the Jnana is coming now after the Bhakti? So why it is coming is that sometimes what happens, we understand, thank you. Sometimes we understand all of those things, we start practicing, but still in this modern age, what happens? We use our decision and deliberations. So if you are not in right knowledge, what I'm doing, why I'm doing what I'm doing, then somebody might come and then, sow a seed of a doubt. What are you doing all this? Krishna is not God. Who told you to chant Hare Krishna mantra? Who told you to read Bhagavad Gita? And Bhagavad Gita says like Nirakar, something like that. And if you are not in right knowledge, then you might get some doubt on what you're doing. So Krishna gives more information, more knowledge on, so that ultimately this jnana is not independent from bhakti. What jnana is given in the Bhagavad Gita also, that ultimately helps us to become more fixed up in bhakti. You do the Bhakti Yoga with a lot of knowledge, not sentimentalist. Oh, somebody is telling a chant, they keep asking, so we started chanting. If somebody else comes and they ask me to chant something else, I'll chant that. When we go to Hare Krishna temple, somebody says Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So we listen to them and we accept Krishna is the God. We go to some other temple, somebody says, no, I am the Supreme God. So we started accepting that person as Supreme God. It's not sentimental. There is a science. There's the right knowledge. So we'll understand that knowledge in the next series of 6 sessions, the next set of sessions. So till then, please keep reading, keep meditating on what we have discussed so far already. So many things to meditate. But I was thinking before we jump on to the next section of Jnana Yoga, I feel the need of the kind of, recollecting what we have discussed. Because if, I ask few questions, mostly people will say, yeah, broji, something you told, but we don't remember. So what we'll do in the next session is, we'll do the revision of all the 6 chapters of this Bhakti Yoga section. So that way, we recollect what we have discussed, some important concepts in just 1 hour, all the 6 sessions. So in case those who missed in the past to attend all these 6 sessions, please make the point that you don't miss the next session. Because in the past, what happens, a lot of people were traveling to India and all of that. So many people were missing. Of course, the recordings are available. You can listen to those recordings. But for the quick summary, you can come to the next session, next Saturday. We'll give you the complete synopsis of all the 6 chapters of Bhakti Yoga. And then after that next session, we'll conduct a quiz on all the 6 sessions. So we'll prepare in the next session. So listen carefully, make your notes, go check out the recordings or your notes and all of that. And then prepare yourself for the quiz, which is next Saturday. So we'll do that. And after that, there is Janmashtami. So we'll give break for 1 week and then we'll start in the 3rd session. So that is the plan. So please plan accordingly. Come in the next and, tell your friends also, those who missed, those whom you know, those who might have missed in the past. So tell them to come in the next session. Okay, now let us just quickly chant 1 round of Hare Krishna mantra together. And then I will close with that. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. I will chant together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare